Well, I think it is safe to say we've all kind of had it with winter. Just a little bit. So today we are making things a little sunnier in the studio. I mean, it's sunny somewhere, right? All right, I'm gonna start us off with my all-time favorite cake recipe. This feels like I'm tooting my own horn because I wrote this cake recipe, but it is bright. It is lemony. It is so delicious. We are making my lemon cornmeal olive oil cake. It's actually, it feels very adult. It's very, very good. It's actually from my cookbook in Mary's Kitchen. This is my third cookbook. I'm working on my fourth. Don't worry, it'll come out soon. I just need a little bit of time. It's gonna be fine. But I really love this cake. It is so delicious. I make it pretty much anytime I'm going over to someone's house for dinner. Erin and I were in Italy last year, and I made a version of this cake to bring to our new Italian friend's house. It was amazing. They were all like, we don't like sweets. We don't like sweets. So they did that like skinny little slice of the cake. They ate the whole thing. So this is like a winner for sure. So the first thing I want to do though with this lemon cornmeal olive oil cake is get to work on a lemon curd. Now this cake has lemon curd kind of running through it. It's really, really tasty. If you wanted to, you could totally just buy a lemon curd in a jar, but lemon curd's really, really simple to make. So I've got a pot here, and in there I'm gonna combine all my ingredients for my lemon curd. Now, if you are someone who's never made a lemon curd before, or you're a little nervous, or maybe you are easily distracted, you could do this in a bowl on top of some simmering water. So you would get a heat-proof bowl, little simmering water, put it on top, and just make it in here. That gives you a little bit of insurance. You're less likely to overcook those eggs, but I don't have patience today, so I like to do it straight in the pot and live dangerously. The only thing I live dangerously with is making lemon curd in a pot and keeping my phone battery at like 10%. Kind of chaos. But in that pan, we're gonna start building up our beautiful lemon curd. So the first thing I need is 1/3 cup of sugar. Lemon curd is basically just a mixture of obviously lemon, there's sugar in there, and then it's thickened up with eggs. So I've got that sugar in there, and then I'm gonna go in with the zest of 1 lemon. You want about a tablespoon of zest. So if you got a good big lemon, that's about 1 whole lemon. As soon as that zest starts hitting that sugar and you start zesting it, it smells like the sun exists. It is a delight. This time of year, you know, you walk by like a store window and you're just like, why does everyone just look sad? It's so, the sun hasn't been out in forever. For me, lemons remind me that that sun really does exist somewhere. Now into there, I'm going in with 1/3 cup of lemon juice. That's about 2 lemons juiced. So that's gonna go right into that sugar. And then for the thickening of a lemon curd, and to be honest, most of the color, you go in with 2 eggs. I do whole eggs in my lemon curd. Makes it thicken up really nicely. The egg yolks are really what give your lemon curd that lemony color. You think it's the lemon, it's not, it's those egg yolks. Same thing with a lemon meringue pie. The reason it's that beautiful yellow color is really the egg yolks in there. So I'm gonna give that a good whisk together. And right now, this looks like sweet, weird scrambled eggs, lemony scrambled eggs. It's not necessarily what you want to eat at this point. I'm going to season it with a little bit of salt just to cut through that sugariness and a little bit of kick. And then I want to pop it over medium heat. Medium heat is perfect. Just keep whisking it or stirring it for just about 2 to 4 minutes. If you were doing this in a bowl on top of that simmering water, that would take a good amount longer because you're doing an indirect heat. But this way, just keep your attention on this. You will not overcook the eggs. I have faith in you. It will be fine. Once that's nice and thick, you want to put in about 1 tablespoon of butter. That's going to help kind of cool it down and give it a bit of roundness. Then you pass it through a fine mesh sieve. Just this classic one that sometimes you use to sift your flour and things like that. That's going to get out any potential egg that you actually did cook. Just kind of get it out of there, and no one will know that you maybe overcooked your lemon curd a little bit. Once that's done, you get something that looks like this. It's creamy, it's delicious, spooned over vanilla ice cream onto some pound cake, or swirled into this delicious loaf. So I'm going to grab this and bring it right on over here. And we're gonna get to work on that actual cake. So for the cake, we're gonna start off with our dry ingredients. 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour go into that bowl. And then I'm going in with my cornmeal. I wanna add in 1 cup of finely ground cornmeal. Now, I always have cornmeal on hand because it's great. You can make polenta with it. You can make this cake with it. It's really good if you're making a pizza for things not to stick. I like to use the finely ground one that you just get in a bag. It's usually the cheapest. It's got a nice texture in this cake as well. Now, that cornmeal is gone in there. So now I'm gonna add in a teaspoon of baking powder and a teaspoon of baking soda. Since there is cornmeal in here that's a little heavier than that flour, so you do need these 2 teaspoons of those chemical leaveners because that's gonna help lift it up and give you a really nice texture. Now into there, I'm going in with about half a teaspoon of salt, again, to cut through the sugar we're gonna add. Just give that a good whisk together to combine. That's it for the dry ingredients. The cornmeal gives it a really nice kind of toothy texture. It's not gonna be like cornbread, it'll still be light and fluffy, but it gives that little bit of kind of corny, little toothiness in there. Now I'm gonna set that aside, and then I'm gonna get to work on the wet ingredients. So for the wet ingredients for this cake, the first thing I need is 1 cup of brown sugar. Sugar, for people who don't typically bake, is considered a wet ingredient, which sounds kind of weird because it's not wet, it's dry. But when you heat it up or when you mix it with any sort of liquid, it's hygroscopic, so it does dissolve in that beautiful liquid. So I'm going in with 1 cup of that. And anytime I'm making a cake, I really like making like a tea cake. I really like doing it with oil as opposed to butter. Butter's great, I love butter, never mad at it, but oil makes for a really moist cake, almost more like a loaf texture. So into there, I'm going in with half a cup of olive oil. Now don't use your fanciest olive oil here, but use something that you like the taste of. You could eat off a spoon or use as a bread dipper. That would be perfect. So I'm going in with half a cup of olive oil. This is one warning. If you are someone who likes to eat cake batter, this cake batter tastes very much of olive oil. But once you, no duh. But once you cook it, it really calms it down. It really makes it nice and mellow and beautiful. Just gives it a little bit of a floral kind of pepperiness. So I'm gonna give that a bit of a whisk. And then I'm gonna add in my eggs. When you are doing a cake batter that is made with oil as opposed to butter, you don't have to cream things together. You just kind of pop it all in a bowl and give it a mix. Makes things a lot easier, which I absolutely love. And again, makes for a nice moist cake that lasts a long time if you can keep this cake on your counter and not eat it all, because that's the challenge with this baby. All right, in go those eggs. Give that a good mix together. Beautiful, beautiful. Now into there, I'm gonna start adding in a little bit of something that's gonna give more tenderness into this cake. And for that, I'm going in with some yogurt. I've just got plain yogurt here. If you had vanilla, that would work as well. Don't use Greek yogurt. You wanna use like Balkan style, like classic yogurt. 1 cup of yogurt is going straight on in. That's gonna give you a beautiful, light texture of this cake. It's also gonna help react with the baking soda and baking powder. Because of that little bit of acidity in there, it's gonna be absolutely beautiful. Season that up with about 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract for a little flavor. And then you wanna go in with some lemon zest and lemon juice. So I've got some lemons here. Going in with the zest of 1 lemon, as well as the juice. When I was writing this recipe, my editor was like, Mary, aren't you gonna measure the juice? And I was like, no. It all works. 1 lemon worth of juice, it's gonna make for a good cake. It just adds a little bit of moisture, but mainly it's there for that flavor and that little bit of acidity again to lift that beautiful cornmeal batter up. So add in that lemon zest, add in that lemon juice. This feels like a tough lemon, let's see. Oh no, it's a good one. I feel like I gotta go buy a lottery ticket. You know when this happens? You're like, oh my gosh, this lemon isn't a lemon, it's a delight. Okay, cool. So add in that beautiful lemon juice, give that a good whisk together, and that is it for those liquid ingredients. Now all I need to do is mix this wet ingredient into the dry. Comes together really nice and quickly. Once that's all mixed together, you do want to set this batter aside for about 20 minutes. What that's going to do is it's going to allow all of that cornmeal to hydrate and get lovely and beautiful. If I were to put it into the oven now, it would still be good. It would just have a little bit less of a tender crumb. So that batter smells like sunshine, looks absolutely beautiful. Now, real quick before we go to break, I'm gonna prep my pan. So I've got some nonstick cooking spray here. Anytime you've made a cake that's a little more delicate, sometimes you will grease and flour a pan. What I'm gonna do is grease it and then put a little cornmeal in it. That's gonna give a little bit of extra texture on the outside, just about 1 tablespoon of cornmeal. Give it a little bit of a tap all the way around just to coat the sides and bottom of that pan. I made up this beautiful batter. It's been sitting and just resting a little bit. And there's a couple things that are happening. That cornmeal's hydrating, so it's getting a little less toothy, so it's gonna be a little softer. And then also, all of the yogurt and that lemon juice in there is creating almost like, remember making like a volcano with vinegar and baking soda? There's lots of bubbles going on. So if you take a look in the bowl, you can see, look at all those bubbles. Do you see that? That is gonna give you so much lift to your cake. So anytime I'm making muffins, I like to give it a little bit of a breather. Gives those bubbles really, really tasty. So I'm gonna transfer this batter right on into my prepared pan that I've greased with nonstick cooking spray and then also sprinkled with a little bit of that cornmeal just to make this nice and easy to release. And it gives a little bit of a crunch on the outside of the cake, which I love a texture, so I'm feeling good about it. All right, that's looking beautiful. Give it a little bit of a spread out. Now, what you wanna do, we also made lemon curd. If you did not make lemon curd, that's okay. You can get it usually near the peanut butter and the jam at your grocery store. I'm not mad at you if you do that. It is very easy to make, but you take whatever shortcut you want. I wanna use about a cup of this beautiful lemon curd, and I'm just gonna drizzle it over top of this cake. This is going to bake into the cake, get nice and into the bottom. Just give it a nice little swirl, almost like a jam or a peanut butter. It will sink as it bakes. Some of it will stay on the top. It will be absolutely beautiful. I'm gonna pop this into a 350-degree oven for about 40 to 45 minutes. That's gonna bake up absolutely beautifully. Let it cool for a little bit, take it out of the pan, and you end up with a very cute cake. Now, all of it, do you see that lemon curd? She's cute as is, does not need a hat, does not need anything, but I'm gonna make a hat for it because for me, I really love cheese and I really love ricotta. Like a whipped ricotta, absolutely beautiful. So I've got about a cup of ricotta cheese here. That is gonna be lovely, whipped with some whipping cream. Now, if you don't wanna do this, you could just do whipped cream. You could just eat this cake as is. This is what I refer to as like a tea cake. It's not layered, it's not fancy, it's just delicious. But I'm gonna add on this beautiful whipped ricotta. So in goes that ricotta cheese, try to get the smooth one. Then you're gonna go in with some whipping cream. You can do up to a cup and give it a good whip. You can also go a little less to give it a bit more of like that savory cheesiness. So I'm gonna add in just like a splash of some whipping cream. Little bit of lemon zest in there as well, again, to give you that punchy, beautiful lemon flavor all throughout this cake. And then you wanna give this a little bit of sweetness. So for the sweetness, you could do sugar. You could also just do honey. Honey's nice. It gives you, again, really nice summery flavor. So about a tablespoon of honey, sugar, even maple syrup would be nice. Little touch of vanilla just for a classic whipped cream flavor. And then you just wanna give that a nice whip up. You could use a stand mixer or a hand mixer. But again, if you're just using a little bit of cream, you just wanna whip this until it is nice and light and fluffy. If you're using a higher fat percentage cream, typically whipped cream is at about 35%. If you can find yourself a 45% cream, this would be whipped cream already. It takes 2 seconds, you look at it and it's like, I'm whipped cream. What a treat. Luckily for me and for TV world, we got a thing called a swap right here, which is a dream. So we've got that wonderful cake. I am gonna take that beautiful, soft, whipped ricotta cream. I'm just gonna drape that all over top. You can, if you want, serve this on the side, but what I like to do is just give it a little bit of a swirl. And then, if you have any extra lemon curd hanging around your house, you swirl that lemon curd right on into that cream just to give you this lovely, colorful, beautiful, delightful cake. Everyone's gonna be happy with this. They're gonna remember the sun exists, and someday it will be summer here in Toronto as well. Now I'm gonna give this a little bit of a slice. I am very excited about this cake. We've got this beautiful flavor, that cream on top. It's almost like fancy cream cheese, whipped cream. You're gonna see that wonderful little ribbon of that lemon curd. You can kind of see it right here. It gives a little bit of deliciousness. Absolutely delightful. I think this is a hand cake today. Let's do this. There's someone who looks shocked in the audience, but we're gonna do it. Okay. That is a stone cold stunner. Check it out. Get making it. Hey, Mary here. What did you think? Drop your comments below and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of the good stuff.